Hi, it's Alaska Granny. I recently bought a bread machine and I thought it would be a great idea to have some butter powder to use in the bread machine instead of using fresh butter. It's easy to use dry ingredients in your bread machine, and the more dry ingredients you use, then the less dependent you are on having the fresh food, especially while things like butter are going up dramatically in price. I think a pound of butter is up to $6, and in some places it's hard to get, so butter powder to me is a good investment. I bought this twice at Walmart. Once I bought it in the store, and then I was able to get one on Walmart online. See this? It's the exact same can. It was $23.93 in the store, and a week or two later it was $17.07 for them to deliver it to my house. That's quite a difference in price, don't you think? The nice thing about the butter powder is it has 204 servings, which means 204 tablespoons, and it's actually real butter. It's all butter. Let's open up the Augason Farms butter powder and see what it looks like. I think having butter powder in my working pantry will be a great idea. Augason Farms are nice because they come with the plastic lids. If you open, ooh, look at that. I'm surprised to see that there's something under the lid. That's unusual. Let me go ahead and clean it off and make sure this can isn't damaged. Okay, let's look under the other one, see what it looks like. Okay, it also has powder. Seems to be fine. Let's try this one. So they seem to be fine. You can tell that it's still under pressure if you press on it and it's already sunken in. So maybe that's just because it comes from a food processing plant where there's lots of powdery food, and maybe that's just part of the processing. But I've certainly never noticed that before, but I haven't so much opened the powdery food. Something I like to do when I'm storing away the number 10 cans is I put one of the P38 or the P52, the little foldable, collapsible, like P38 can openers under the lid. You can just put it in there, and then you have an emergency can opener if you need to use your emergency food. So that's a great, inexpensive way to have an emergency can opener. I'll put a link to a video I made on how to use these can openers if you've never used them before. And they're easy to buy, a big old pack of them on Amazon, so you can scatter them around in your bug-out bag and in your food storage. My favorite can opener for the number 10 cans is the Swing Away, because it opens completely up and the crank is simple. You don't get your hand going like this, which can really be tiresome when you're opening a great big can. And so that's what I like to use for these. So let's open it up. Did you hear the little poof? So it was under pressure, so I think it's going to be perfectly fine and safe. You can see the Nutritional Facts. It's 35 calories per serving, which is 1 tablespoon of powder, which is equal to 1 tablespoon of butter. So that's easy to measure. And then it doesn't require very much water. It doesn't tell you how to just do a tablespoon of butter, but it does tell you half a cup of butter powder plus 1 1/2 tablespoons of water would make a half a cup of butter. So if you know there's 16 tablespoons in a cup, a half a cup has 8 tablespoons. So then see, you just do your math so that you hardly need any water at all. It's definitely powdery. It's very lightweight, fluffy. So yeah. So I'm going to need 1 1/2 tablespoons of butter think it's only going to need about a half a teaspoon of water. Let's measure it and stir it up. If you don't have a half a tablespoon, know that it's 1 teaspoon plus a half a teaspoon would equal half. There's 3 teaspoons, so you can use 1 and 1/2 is going to give you a half of a tablespoon. I'm going to try about a half a teaspoon of water to see how that goes. It's so fluffy, like, say, cornstarch. And it says if you want spreadable butter, you would just add twice as much water. But I think that that's going to be sufficient to put into softened butter into my bread machine. Let's taste it. Tastes like butter. It's perfect. Let's make bread. I always spray my pan. You want to put the wet ingredients in before the dry. I'm making 3/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons of water, the 1 1/2 tablespoons of butter. Seeing if I was just adding it as powder, I could just add the extra liquid for the butter and then add the powder next. Now I have 1 1/2 tablespoons of sugar, 1 tablespoon of dry milk powder, 1 1/2 teaspoons of salt, 3 cups of flour. Then you want to make a little indentation in the dry, and that's where you add your yeast. You don't ever want the yeast to get into the liquid until it's ready to start mixing. Now the pan goes into the bread machine. Close the lid, and now you plug it in. I'm doing the basic 1, so it's ready to start. I like the window because you can see what's going on, whether it's mixing it, it's kneading it, it's rising or baking. You can look in and see the progress. This smells amazing, but I made a mistake. I was outside digging in the garden and I didn't watch the time, so it's been in here like an extra hour. So it does turn off. It's supposed to keep it warm. You just pull the loaf out. It slides right out, but it's lopsided. It's probably lopsided because I didn't come in time. Then you have to get out the little paddle, which does leave a hole in the middle of your bread when you're cutting it, but that doesn't bother me in the least. It smells so good, but yeah, you can see because I left it in too long, it has a little brown bottom and it's a little lopsided, but I'm going to say it still turned out great because who can't love homemade bread? I think this worked great using the powdered butter. It absolutely is delicious smelling. It's still warm, even though I neglected it. But the whole point of the video was about the butter, not about my bread baking ability. This bread is delicious even without adding more butter on top. 1 pound of butter equals 32 tablespoons, and the butter powder equals 206 tablespoons, which is about 6.43 pounds of butter. So if you look at the price of fresh butter, for example, at Walmart, you could buy the Great Value butter at $4.18 a pound, and if you multiplied that times the 6.4 pounds in the powdered butter, that would equal $26.75. If you looked at Land of Lakes butter, is $5.98 a pound, times 6.4 pounds would be $38.14. If you love Kerrygold pure Irish butter, this at Walmart, it's $4.38 for a half a pound. So that would be $8.76 a pound, times 6.4 pounds equals $56.07 for the same amount of tablespoons of butter, for the same amount of butter that you can get with the Augason Farms butter powder, which makes the price I got it a fantastic deal. Plus, the cans of butter powder will last for 10 years. Once you open it, you need to use it up within a year. But it looks to me like this is going to be great to use in breads, to stir together and use on top of bread, and even to add anytime I need butter. I'm certainly going to try adding the Augason Farms butter powder because it's delicious, it's simple to use, and it's less expensive than using real butter, which it actually is, real butter. If you have a recipe that you enjoy using the Augason Farms butter powder, leave it in the comments below and tell us what you have experienced using this butter powder. If you enjoyed my video, I hope you'll share it with someone else you think might like it. Please subscribe to the Alaska Granny channel.